Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 3, Episode 10. Today is March 27th? 28th, 2024. It is 154 days until Elk Season. We are the Chambers Brothers. My name's Harold.
I'm David.
And tonight on the Elk Season Podcast,
we are going to talk about some predator management stuff. We're going to talk about wolves. We're going to talk about lions. We're going to talk about your wolf class that was a no-go, sort of.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about last year's Idaho's overall elk harvest, how it compares to Wyoming's elk harvest, and of course, we always kind of monitoring the water. So all of that tonight, or today, or right now on the Elk Season Podcast.
Not Randy Newberg, but thank you.
Yeah. So, not sure where you're cutting in on this one, but
yeah,
I was trying to ask. I was trying to say something about somebody that I saw that they were using something. I couldn't remember his name, and he's this guy, and I said everything but his name.
Yeah.
And you were like in your head, you were like,
it can't be Randy Newberg. Everybody knows Randy Newberg. I know Randy Newberg. If it was Randy Newberg, he would just say it's Randy Newberg.
Should have.
And then he said accountant, and I go, Randy Newberg?
I couldn't remember his name.
He's like, yeah, Randy Newberg.
But in my defense, I had eaten some bad turkey. So anyway,
well, let's talk about wolves.
All right, let's jump
Let's
right in.
talk about wolves. I'm so excited about wolves. I signed up for my wolf trapper education course.
Yeah, I was excited last week because it's like, hey, next week we come in, you're going to have the follow-up. I had a hunch that maybe I'd be able to listen to you on the radio, and I actually heard an update prior to today, but I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's okay. The story is I'm bad at internet stuff, and I signed up for the regular trapper class.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassed, and I feel dumb, and it's not the first time. It happens to me all the time.
It's almost as bad as Randy Newberg.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah. And but I go, it was great to see, though, because this one was in the Magic Valley. This one was not far from town, so at least
it's always nice when that happens.
Yeah, and it was a room overflowing again.
Wow.
With young people and experienced trappers.
Very cool.
And so there was a lot more experience in the Magic Valley region in that room. A lot of guys in there were already trappers. They were there with a friend.
That's really cool.
Were there. It was really cool. But by the time they got around to when they went around the room and introduced everybody, by the time they got to me, I go, I am in the wrong class. I already have my trapper education. I messed up. I was looking for the wolf class. Is there a game warden I can talk to for a minute before I go about some wolf things? I just have some questions. And so one of the guys, I have his phone number, I have his name and stuff in my phone. He works Fish and Game official, works out of the Cary area.
Yeah.
Which is the Pioneer Zone, which is really, really good elk habitat, and it's prime wolf habitat. And so I talked to him for a little bit about wolves and trapping wolves in Idaho, and what he told me was you do have to check your traps every 72 hours.
That's what, 4 days?
That's
no,
3.
3 days, yeah. Sorry, I knew that.
Every 3 days.
Randy Newberg.
Yeah. So you do have to check them every 3 days, which kind of changes my strategy because I'm 3 hours away from like unloading to like getting out of the truck and being able to get on a snowmobile or something. And
the
check
logistics
the
there is a bit.
It's just tough. I still want to do it.
Yeah.
I still want to do it really bad. But I want to practice trapping, right? That's my 5-year plan. I want to practice trapping. I really want to practice. I love bobcats. I think they're one of the coolest things ever. And I really want to trap some bobcats. I think only because I don't think I've ever seen one. Maybe we did see one together in Montana.
Oh, the bobcat that we came around the corner.
Behind Riley's bar.
The only time I rifle hunted, other than 2015, we rifle hunted in Montana, my first time hunting, right before I moved to Idaho. And we came around, we were in a red Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah.
I actually really liked that Jeep Cherokee.
Oh, it was a good Jeep. It was a good Jeep. All Jeeps are kind of good Jeeps, though.
But there was this place behind the bar. I forgot. It was this road that took us up behind the bar, and maybe it wasn't that spot.
It was. That's the way I remember it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we came around the corner, and
we had just hiked down. We were just getting back in the car. Is what I remember.
Yeah, I don't. We're talking almost a 30-year-old.
Because I thought I took a shot at it, right?
Yeah, you jumped
Yeah.
out and shot at it. And
Yeah.
it was gone.
And I don't remember seeing it again.
No.
Went and looked, and
Yeah, but that was pretty cool. And it was definitely a bobcat. It had the distinctive look, as opposed to a lynx, which lynx are very similar looking, but very distinctively different.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that was about the only time I remember seeing a bobcat in the wild.
Yeah,
But,
and it was such a short glimpse. I hardly call it. It's hardly accountable.
Yeah,
I can hardly count it as a sighting.
yeah, so long ago.
Maybe
though.
we're driving up there,
I think we were heading.
but
up.
I thought it was light out because I thought we were heading out.
It was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And we were driving to a new local
Okay.
location, I think, and just came around the bend, and there it was, like right in the middle of this little like triangle, because there was a road that went off to the left, and a road that went off to the right, and right there in the middle where we could turn around, there's this cat, and it's like, whoa, that seemed bizarre in the middle of the day, but it was vamoose, man, it was gone.
Yeah. So, excuse me, I'm very excited to do some trapping, just to get me outdoors.
Well, I like your approach, though. You know, start somewhere that's accessible, do it in a way, because like a learned skill is an aggregate of effort over time, and so very intrigued. We were just talking about soldering earlier, so I do not have a great skill there, but I have successes. But it takes time and patience.
It does, and you know, as much as emails and internets aren't my thing, schematics for soldering drones, and I've built a lot of the drones that I've flown and worked on a lot of them too. And I've been through, dude, it just, that causes me anxiety. I would keep that turned over to see, look, you even cover it. So much anxiety in the piece of paper.
I just have it there so it doesn't like fall off. But I actually really dig those things. I printed off a second one because I accidentally ripped the one that came with those. But those are little chips that I'm building some light stuff with. But
they're so helpful.
Yeah,
they're so helpful. You know what you're doing. I have to have both of them in front of me.
And I know this is a sidestep from where we're talking about wolves and trapping, but on a side note, I was actually headed in a much more intensive soldering direction with these foot pedals before I found some of the companies that build these little chips that I'm using have accessories that you can buy to speed up the process. So instead of soldering, I'm using a screw, and soldering would be better, but this simplified it for me, so I don't have to pull what hair I have left out doing that. So whenever you find a cheat code, effectively it's not that you're cheating, but something that speeds the process up for you to be more efficient. So it's not, I wouldn't call it a cheat code, but a bonus of some sort that helps you. So I'm curious what you might find in the trapping world in regard to that. You know, what are the tricks and tips, the pro tips, I guess you could say.
And I hope to learn. And so with talking with this game warden, one of the things I found out was they're an incredible resource. They're open books. You want to call them and talk. I have his personal cell phone number. He didn't have business cards. So he goes, I'll just give you my personal number. I haven't abused it yet. I haven't messaged him at all.
Hey, Bob, I got another question. It's 4 a.m, Harold.
But what's great is he's up there enough. He knows where the local packs are. He goes, the packs have such a huge territory. They might not be back for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? One of my buddies asked me, why don't you just go up there, set some traps, and after the weekend, take them down? They need to be set up a long time.
If I have the number correct, it was something like 250 square miles they'll cover in a territory.
Huge, huge. Their territories are huge.
That was for mountain lion. I don't know what it is for wolves, but for mountain lion, it's like huge.
I would have to look at it. I'm sure there's some pretty good data on that. Average wolf pack. What do you call that area? Hunting area, zone, territory. That's the word. Territory.
Yeah.
See, we're all kinds of Randy Newberg tonight.
What was the word? Who?
So what a great resource they are, because they know they need to be managed, and they know elk tags. You know, we're going to be losing some elk tags to these wolves very soon.
Yeah.
And it's something to be concerned about. But he did also say wolves are so hard to hunt. They're so hard.
We've talked about that a few times.
Most of the guys that are successful hunting wolves do so at 1,000 yards. And I go, well, my bow doesn't shoot that far.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Got some Rambo.
Warheads, rockets on the back of them.
Exactly.
something. So anyway, so I started talking to some friends. Of course, we live in Idaho. I don't. After we saw that mountain lion in the South Hills,
Yeah.
I really started thinking serious. Like, that's broad daylight.
It was cool.
We're just sitting here.
Zoomed in and
with binoculars, I just thought it was another deer because there was a bunch of deer on the hillside, sort of scattered about. But I thought, well, we're just sitting here having a snack. Let's set up the spotting scope.
yeah.
You zoom in on that deer. That's a lion.
Yep.
That is a mountain lion.
Just sitting there about 30 yards above, deer
Yawning,
grazing.
stretching, thinking about having something to eat. And a few minutes later, wandered off.
Yep.
But mountain lion would be fun. A mountain lion would be what a cool thing that would be. And so I started asking some friends. So I have some friends that are really into long distance rifle shooting, and pretty good at it. So, excuse me, I still have a little bit of a cold. I told you all about it.
Yeah, you did.
When I went from the flu to an infection last Thursday, right when I, right when we were doing the podcast. I mean, I was so tired. My voice hurt, everything, and I just thought it was just like, oh, it's okay. It's just
It'll work out.
It's just ending. It's the death throes of my flu. But I went from flu to a nasal infection. That I went to the doctor. We got a prescription. Everything's working itself out.
Eventually.
Yeah. So I've thought, when I think about hunting wolves, one of the things I believe I should, and I believe other people should, is harness the emotions that locals have for wolves and talk to the locals, right? I met the owner of Ace Hardware up in Arco, Idaho.
Yeah.
He knows some guys. He knows some landowners. You talk to those guys. Hey, you seen any wolves? Hey, you seen any wolves? Those guys don't want them up there either.
Right.
And by using the phone, I'm channeling my inner Slim.
Yeah.
By talking to people and finding out where the wolves are rather than just going out there blindly and hope I see one, because that just doesn't happen.
Well, it would make sense to go to, because the population of wolves in Idaho isn't small.
Right.
I mean, it's not what it used to be, but it's not small anymore. And so going to places that they would be considered a nuisance, and they would likely have something that attracts them there, farmers, ranchers, it makes sense to go there first, because they're going to be the people that are on the front lines of having those interactions. And
right.
if you can help them pull that predator species back so it's more manageable for everybody.
I can't be out there every day, but they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good tactic.
So and the game warden was, said the same thing. These, I can tell you where some of the packs, there's multiple packs up there. He goes, I can tell you where some of these packs are active. And so and so saw them this last weekend. They're around this area, and go check it out. So I'm looking forward to hunting wolves, eventually trapping wolves. I would love to trap bobcat and coyote. A lot of other things I would like to trap, but bobcat and coyote, I just think are so cool. And I will also want to hunt coyote, just because the wolves have been gone for so long that the coyotes have no natural predators. There's nothing to keep the coyotes in check. And they're such a nuisance. Because I talked to the game warden, I talked to the game official about thermals. He goes, yeah, you can use thermals to hunt wolves in Idaho if there's very specific laws put in place to, like, yes, there's too many wolves up here. We need people to go in there and hunt them.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. I think Montana you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think I saw a video in Montana, guys hunting wolves with thermals, and they go out late at night and it's 20 below, and they stand there on they have their monopod.
Yep.
So they can point it all the way up the mountain and hopefully hit a wolf 1,000 yards away in the dark. Nuts, man.
That's crazy.
Nuts. So, but he did say, oh yeah, for coyotes, yeah, you can use the thermals for coyotes, and I'm sure there's other special regulations or whatever you need to get all that. So please, this is not legal advice. Talk to a local game warden if you're especially from Idaho, but always talk to a game warden. So coyotes just haven't been put in check, and down here in the desert, there's a lot of coyotes down here. So coyotes and mountain lions need to be managed more effectively to help balance out the amount of predation they do. Well, cats do on deer, and wolves do on elk, and coyotes are just unchecked. So anyway, so I'm looking forward to doing some more of that. Spending $4,000 on a rifle and scope. Yeah. Oh, trust me, you'll hear all about it.
Oh, I know. I've got a rifle I haven't shot since 2015. So
Really?
I'm actually thinking about, this might be an excuse for me to not sell it and hang on to it until we go sight in your new rifle. And
What's your rifle?
It is not what you're looking at, and it is.
I know. But
it's just a simple 270.
Okay.
And it's got a fairly inexpensive scope on it.
Okay.
So
okay.
all in all, I'm in it about
350, 400 yards, maybe.
Maybe.
That's a stretch. Well, it'd be fun to try, though, right?
I've only sighted it in for about 100 yards.
Right.
But it haven't. It needs to be all recalibrated and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I can't believe it's been almost 10 years since I shot that rifle.
Jeez.
I don't get out very often. And with as many people as we know with rifles and guns, you'd think that would be. But
I know.
I blame Twin Falls County for not having better accommodations for long range rifle shooting.
Yeah.
So there's a gun club up the road from my house, right on the canyon rim, but it's for shotgun only and for skeet shooting.
Short range, yeah.
But where's the nearest gun range that I can really go in and sight in?
Well, let me tell you something. There's those pans, those tins or those circles that they hang at great distances. I saw some where in 55 where we used to hunt deer.
Yeah, that's still too much. That's still too far away.
I know it's too far away, but as soon as you go across that last cattle guard, you can shoot up that hill. They're clear up on that hill. Way up on that hill.
We'll have to remember to go out there sometime. It would be nice though to have a gun range here. The only gun range that's here is north of Jerome.
Yes,
the Jerome Country Club, is that country or gun club? Anyway, I've been out. That's where I was sighting in 2015, but it was such a task to get out there.
It is. And how far is the range? How long is the range?
It has 100-yard tops.
Oh, really?
At that time. I don't know if it's changed since then. But.
Well, we could just go on to the South Hills. I think that's what we'd have to do is buy a tin or a pan or something we can hang from a tripod and just do the footwork.
Yeah, I guess I see people shooting out there all the time, but more and more I get older, the more and more I don't really care for that, simply because other people are doing it. And there was, the Devil's Corral. We had a medical doctor riding his bike get a shot lodged near his heart.
Oh, wow.
Because it was a deflection from somebody shooting. He didn't get shot intentionally, but he ended up having a major issue. That was one of the things that caused Devil's Corral to kind of go, okay, we need to shut this down. Yeah,
boy, Devil's Corral has been the Wild West of Twin Falls for a long time.
And what's crazy is there's a major freeway
right next to it. I remember one year we went camping and we stopped there at the Devil's Corral.
Yeah.
Just right off the interstate.
Yep.
And we rearranged some stuff in the 4Runner and the trailer. And we ended up taking off one of the headrests to my seat. Right? And we left it there in the dirt.
Oh. Yeah.
And we went all the way to Montana for a week of camping. And I realized it was missing. And when we went back, it was there.
That's so funny.
It was still sitting in the desert.
Whoops. Glad you got it.
So Devil's Corral, also some locals have called it Mutant Park, just because of the crazy stuff you'd see out there.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
It's now gotten, I think, a little less trashy, but there's some stuff that you can find out there that's kind of bizarre. In fact, we have a large multicultural population here in the Twin Falls area. A friend of mine, his name is Chris, not the Chris you might be thinking. I know a few Chris's, actually. Anyway.
More than one?
This is one of my colleagues.
Oh, okay.
So I think
I know him.
He talked about going out there for a bike ride or walk or something, and he came across some weird-looking bags with weird items in it, and a live chicken was in one of these bags.
Wow.
And it had to do with some sort of sacrificial offering from a custom from a local immigrant.
Wow. Okay.
And he actually took the chicken home.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, it'll just, so he didn't want it. He couldn't keep it where he lives. But then it got away from him, and he talked about chasing the chicken around his yard. and so
No good deed goes unpunished.
no,
That's a fact.
it's a good
That's
story
fact.
though. It's a good story, and he brings up that he travels everywhere. He goes and he talk about a backcountry hiker.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
but some of the stories he'll share are just fabulous, and he comes across weird stuff like that all the time.
Wow.
And first thing out of my mouth every time he tells a story is like got to be a ritual of some kind, and he just looks at me and goes, on the nose.
All you have to do to get real adventure in your life is just leave the house.
Yeah.
Just leave the house. Adventure's out there.
Yeah.
It's out there everywhere. So, anyways, I'm looking forward to a 6.5 PRC, a 6.5 PRC rifle, and some decent scopes. And
I have no idea what that means,
I know.
but I trust that you
I
will
don't
teach
either.
me.
I don't either. I'm going to find out. But I'll spare no expense.
When you buckle down on something, you really don't.
Right. You have to. You have to go, this is, and this, guns are just good investments. They just if the price of everything goes up, guns go up. The price of guns go up. It's crazy. Old guns are worth more than they ever were. New guns are worth more. They don't have a lot of depreciation. I don't want to say invest, but
I do wish I would have gotten.
well.
I wish I would have gotten a better. I wouldn't say better. I don't know what that means in the world of rifles, but I don't know that I bought the best 270.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm like, well, it was what I could afford.
Right.
But when I look at what I paid for it, and I think I had an up mark because I'm left-handed, that always stings.
Yeah, it'll cost you.
But to see how it sells now, it's a what the heck is it? It's a Randy Newberg Axis to. I'm just kidding. It's not a Randy Newberg. Sorry. Weird running joke tonight on Randy Newberg. No offense to him. It's just that I couldn't remember his name, so now everything is going to be Randy Newberg.
Out of all the people that do outdoor videos on YouTube,
that's the one that
the one person any human should remember is a man named Randy Newberg.
And I failed today. I'm sorry, Randy. I'm sorry. I got excited because I thought I saw your rig in Idaho one time. I wanted to just go run into your camp and say hi, but
I know you're always looking at all the camps, and during Elk Season, that could be Randy. He could be, he might be here. You never know.
So I really like Randy.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
Everybody loves Randy. It's a Savage Arms Axis something Axis anyway. It's okay.
Okay.
I haven't killed anything with it because I'm great at hunting, horrible at harvesting.
Right.
So that's a T-shirt I need. Great hunter, horrible harvester.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's all the wolf stuff I have.
That's what it says on the front, and the back it says, "Ask me what I saw."
Yeah. And you know what? You're not different from a lot of guys.
No, I know that.
And they find frustration in it too, and they talk about tag soup, and they talk about taking their rifles for a hike and taking their bows for a hike because they're not hunting. Right? That's how they feel. They're not hunting. And
I am cautiously optimistic about this year simply because I'm afraid to do any downhill hiking because of what happened last year on our hike when we placed cameras.
We're gonna get out and we're gonna get some good hikes in before elk season though.
I started doing some yard work this week.
Good.
And so doing more exertion, and I'm confident though. I'm building my confidence up that this problem is fixed. Yeah. Even the doctors kept saying you're fine once you get to a certain point. You're fine, and I'm pretty much there. So I had a ton of dirt that I took to the dump because if I have a bunch of fill dirt, I don't know where to take it.
Yeah,
it costs way too much to take to the dump.
Way too much.
But I had 2 tons of dirt, and I had to get rid of at least 1 ton of it.
Yeah.
So and I've got a bunch of sod that I don't need.
Yeah.
But anyway, so all that stuff I've kind of stowed away in the yard, but now I've got a ton of gravel I've already put out. Tomorrow I'm going to do the second round of gravel. And so just all this exercise helps me feel more confident. And I've got my elliptical is ready to go. Starting to do some of that. So
good. Yeah. I have my exercise bike in the basement. Did that yesterday. I'm trying to come out of this
cold, man.
Whatever disease I have.
When you walked in today and you still sounded like last week, I was just like, oh, my heart.
Well, you said you heard me on the radio this morning. Did you not hear?
I heard you on the radio yesterday, but for whatever reason, through the things translate differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was. Yeah. It just
I'm sure I'll be fine.
You brought up seeing that mountain lion in 55, which man, I remember being with you in Montana when we were hunting that year.
Yeah.
And it had snowed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the same day we saw the elk and spooked them, but
I feel like it was.
we came through the back. We got into the woods. And
I feel
we looked
like it
down
was.
and saw those huge cat tracks.
The size of dinner plates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And somehow wolf tracks are bigger.
that's crazy.
So wolf tracks.
Cats and dogs.
Yeah.
But mountain lions are becoming much more prominent. As you did we mention it earlier?
Not yet.
Oh, you showed me a video, and the guy cited that mountain lions are the most common cat in the world.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the long-tailed weasel that we saw.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, hey, this creature probably only exists right here. No, it's the most common weasel of its kind worldwide. We just got lucky enough to see one. But here in Twin Falls, we keep seeing cat sightings, or it seems like we get to a...
Yeah, there was one recently in the news, right?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going? Where we're going?
I was just finding a
Well, we're
segue
talking
of
about
sorts.
predator management
Yeah.
and hunting mountain lions and wolves, and we have a couple of very high profile stories on mountain lions this week.
Yeah. If you see a mountain lion wherever you're at, in the woods or in town, heaven forbid, don't turn around and run.
Yeah, it's a
Don't
bad
jump
idea.
on your bike and ride off.
Yeah.
So you want to slowly back away while looking at them in the eyes. They're unnerved with eye contact.
Yeah.
You have a cat at your house, stare your cat in the eyes and watch what happens. Most cats, I would wager,
Really?
are probably not going to enjoy that. They're going to
Really?
look away.
Okay.
I'm guessing. So I'm starting to Dunning-Kruger myself.
No, that's okay.
I was talking confidently about something I know absolutely nothing about. But
I do it all the time.
no, I remember at ISU they had cat visuals all the time, and
Yeah.
it's a bit morbid because I'm like, they kept seeing the cats at the housing for students that had children.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking hungry cats, but
Yeah.
anyway, that they would send out emails when they'd have the sightings, and they'd be like, back away, don't run, make noise, kind of thing. So
Right.
I always wanted to kind of see one, but never.
Yeah. I had a close encounter with a mountain lion.
Did. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm sure I've told you about it.
Remind me.
It's kind of a sad story because I was in the North Idaho woods. One of my friends when I lived in North Idaho, one of my buddies said, I told him I knew how to pan for gold.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, let's go pan for gold. That'd be fun." I go, "Great, yeah, let's go." So I grabbed some gold pans and we went to some campsites, I think, on the North Fork of the Coeur d'Alene River,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. What I saw broke my heart. The campsites were so filthy.
Ugh.
There was and this is beautiful North Idaho.
Yeah.
I mean, along a pristine river. You can see transparent water. It's
Yeah.
not a normal place you can just go do.
Yeah.
But all the people from Spokane, huge populations, come over. I don't want to say just Spokane, but also from Idaho, but come over to these campsites and it was just so disgusting. And it wasn't just one campsite.
Yeah.
It was all the way up the river, and you're just like,
People
oh
are
my
gross.
Gosh,
there's accidental drops, and we've talked about that.
and that's okay.
But then there's intentional
Yeah, and we
So-
see them,
intentional, filling
Yeah.
the bad word there.
and that's not cool.
I went to Lake Alturas
Yeah.
in 2009, I suppose it was.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that was the year I got my elk.
yeah.
I got my first elk.
So, it was a little bit before that. I think it was still August or something like that, but we had met some friends up there,
Yeah.
and I actually had the sluice box, and I was showing his son how to do that.
Oh, cool.
And we were setting it up, and so there's a little stream between Lake Alturas and Lake Perkins,
Yeah,
and we weren't doing much, just helping him see what goes into it.
Right,
We
just see how
didn't
it
last long,
works.
but
Yeah.
I was picking up trash the rest of the time off the banks of this little creek.
Oh wow.
Just empty bottle after empty bottle of liquor and booze, and people just leave behind. And it's like,
Yeah.
people are disgusting. Just
Yeah.
pick up after yourselves, please.
That was very frustrating. Anyways, so me and Jeff start hiking this river, and we're looking for a place to take a sample pan.
Yeah.
And I come to a cut bank, right? And so you can see many stratified layers. And I said, okay, because there's this big tree at the top and all the roots were holding it. You've seen it before. You know exactly what it looks like. And I go, I'm gonna take a layer from this pan, and you take a layer from this pan, and we'll go over here and pan it in the shallow water. And I'm kind of showing him, you got to wash it, all the things you do to pan some gold. But obviously, I'm done before he is, and he's finishing up, and I'd been standing in ankle deep water, so I need to use the restroom. So I go from the river and I climb up past this tree, and I go to relieve myself. As I'm turning around, under that tree, on the edge of the cut bank,
oh my gosh,
is a mountain lion watching Jeff. And I knew I had to say something. This is an embarrassing story. I knew I had to say something to make Jeff understand I'm not screwing around. So I go, Jeff, there's a mountain lion watching your head. I'm not effing kidding, man. And he looked up and he goes, whoa. And I'm like, cool, a mountain lion. I have no fear at all. I'm like, this is cool. And he steps back, and I run down next to him and so when Jeff stood up, right, there's a pool at the bottom of this cut bank. When Jeff stood up, he's eye to eye and probably 4 feet away from that mountain lion.
Jeez Louise.
4 feet.
I don't think you have told me this. At least not in the way I remember.
And so he stumbles backwards, right, because it's a rocky riverbed. He stumbles backwards, and I run down, and I'm like, wow, mountain lion. That's because I ran down to stand next to him, so that we're a bigger presence. And not that I was really thinking that. We'll say retrospectively I was. And he grabs the shovel and holds it over his head and starts yelling. And that scared me. And so I took the shovel from him. I'm like, yeah, give me that. I was really weird, a really weird move, right?
Yeah. I've got one, I not a cat story, but I've got a similar story that I shared with you. Anyway.
I don't know if it was my shovel or his shovel, but I'm like, oh, a shovel, that's a good idea. And I just take it from him. It's so embarrassing. Anyway, the mountain lion looked at us like a drunk guy hitting on a hot woman. And it just turned its head and wandered off.
Yeah.
And as soon as it turned around, Jeff and I ran up onto the bank to see where it went. Not a sign.
Yeah.
Not even a shadow. Nothing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's my only encounter with a mountain lion ever. And anyways,
strange moves. Now, this is just my memory of a situation that you and I had on the Nickel bar. Sorry.
Your memory of that's different than mine, but go ahead, you can tell it.
So my memory is we're hiking out, and I'm in front of you on the trail.
Yeah.
And we got gear or whatever, and we hear rustling, and there's a bear that pops up on the trail.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, as we're standing there, we're like trying to figure out what to do. You're like, here. And I'm thinking, oh, good, the bear spray. And it's a camera.
Yeah.
You handed me a camera.
Yeah.
But I remember that my memory, when you handed me that camera, you were so nerved up by this. You were so shaky.
Yeah.
But I just thought, I'm in front of you, but you have the bear spray.
Right.
So I just think I find it funny more than it was not offensive. I just but what did I get? Got pictures of the bear.
You did, yeah.
So
and that's the first bear I think I've ever seen when I've been out in the woods.
Yeah, it was mine
ever.
too.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. My heart rate didn't get above 60.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't. I don't know if mine did or not. I didn't feel nervous. I don't perceive myself as being nervous. I knew I had that fanny pack, that camouflage fanny pack that we hunted with for years.
Yeah.
And I knew I had a pepper spray in it, and I knew I had a camera.
Yeah.
And I always knew when you see something, camera and spray, go. and so I was ready with it quick. I should have been ready with it quick.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here, take this.
That bear wasn't there long enough. So
you
you did act quick.
Yeah.
Because we got pictures of the bear.
Yeah.
He came up, it sat down for whatever reason. It sat, and then
it didn't.
took
I
off.
didn't think it sat as much as it put its front legs up on a log, and so its back. It looked like it was sitting, but that's what I remember.
Oh,
And-
the picture is gone to obscurity.
yeah, it might be around somewhere.
I wish I could find those old pictures,
But-
scan them in. But anyway,
But that was my plan all along. I knew I had the camera and the pepper spray. There's not a reason to be afraid. I may have been afraid, but knowing there's no reason.
I didn't
to be
say
afraid.
I didn't accuse you of being afraid. I
Right.
accused you of being nerved.
I was excited.
Right.
I was excited. Is that nerved?
Nerved.
We'll
yeah.
say excited from now on. It sounds
Nerved
way
up.
better.
I didn't say unnerved either.
Yeah.
I just said nerved.
Yeah, I
Roll
was.
the tape back. Now I can't remember what I said.
I was pretty excited.
Far different cry when we saw that bear up in elk country.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've got him on camera, and I couldn't figure out how to. Anyway, and then the bear you saw 2 years ago,
Yeah.
just run across that.
It's just
field of view.
yeah.
Of course, I almost stepped on. Sorry, we went from cats to bears, but because I almost stepped on a bear on the butt crack.
Yeah, that's right.
Jeez, that could have been different.
Yeah.
That because I was so close to that bear.
20 or 30 yards?
Yeah, closer.
Wow.
Feet.
Wow.
Feet.
20 feet.
Yeah.
Holy
And
jeez.
it was all about the wind.
Yeah.
Because I came from downwind,
Wow.
which allowed it to smell me. But I almost made a choice to go into the woods from upwind of that bear.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a different outcome.
Yeah, you would have scared him away. That's
did-
that's my
I did
prediction.
scare him away.
I know.
But I don't know. I might have scared him more, and it would have,
It could have gone worse.
could
Yeah,
have
yeah,
gone
yeah.
worse. But either way, I had some, yeah. When you come
Yeah.
within 20 feet of a bear unknowingly, and you just see its big
Alone.
body, bear, yeah.
Alone.
Ooh.
Yeah. There's like, ooh, how can my brother's with me,
But you were across.
But
you were
I am-
over at the cross.
uncontactable. Oh, was I really?
Yeah, we had split up because
Okay.
you wanted to go explore the other side of the
Yeah,
valley,
yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna stay over here. And
Okay.
oh my gosh! Anyway,
Wow.
it's good times. Good times.
Good time seeing the wild animals. They the mountain lions and the wolves need to be managed. A constant theme here on the Elk Season Podcast.
Ultimately, we're all in this together. We got to figure it out. Find
Yeah.
that balance.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to see, and this on a weird note, I don't know why, but I'd like to see more over land bridges over freeways
Yes.
and roads.
And we will. Yeah, they'll do more studies and there'll be more of that. Until we're all just living underground.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I heard somebody talking about that.
Well,
And like, well, why not?
sure.
Right?
Today's day and age, there's a lot that you can hear. I was surprised by this because it seemed like we had talked about the success of elk hunting in Idaho being somewhat.
Hold on.
Am I going too fast?
No, we missed a mountain lion story.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Back up. Hold up.
A man has been killed by a mountain lion in California, South
Yeah.
Lake Tahoe.
And you want to
Yes,
introduce
I do.
grizzlies.
Yes,
you
I do.
son of a.
100%. 100%.
I guess I'm guilty of that too.
Well, yeah. I think there hasn't been a grizzly bear in California for more than 100 years.
Except on the flag.
Yeah. How sad. So, and this is sad because these were guys like us, two brothers out shed hunting
Yeah.
and get stalked. One of them was killed by the mountain lion. The other one was brutally attacked. I mean, savagely, I guess would be a better word. Savagely attacked. I mean, in the face and barely escaped. And so, yeah.
Yeah,
It's very terrifying, and people, I talk to people all the time. Whenever I have a conversation with somebody, I like to talk about ecology. I want to talk about predator management. I got in a great conversation today with a lady at work over the wild horses of Nevada, the wild Mustangs,
in the Owyhee County.
and she contended that every single one of them can be genetically traced back to a single ranch, and they're really there's a place between wild and domestic
Okay.
because they're not indigenous.
Right.
Although
They can live here because the habitat is good for them, but they're not from here.
yeah, there's a classification I see between domestic and wild, and that's feral,
Gotcha.
right? Like feral
Yeah.
dogs.
Yep. So they're feral horses, really.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
But certain political views call them the governor's horses.
Sure.
But they reproduce and they have no predators,
Yeah.
and they need something needs to happen, and they need to be managed as well. And boy, if you think dogs, wolves have a personality, and they do, and you think grizzly bears have a personality, and they do, there are people out there who love horses.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
You are married to one.
Yes.
And so it's a sad fate to try to understand what should happen with these horses.
Yeah.
And you know, in my readings of the Old West, I've come across guys who, as the Old West was tamed, part of that taming was guys would just go up and round up wild horses. You could sell them for good money.
Yeah.
In fact, the biggest horse trade, the biggest horse trade ever made was made here in Idaho by a woman named Kitty Wilkins to the British government. One of my in a class I was in at Idaho State University, one of the graduate students presented a book that he did on Kitty Wilkins.
Oh, cool.
Of Jarbidge. It actually was Idaho, but it was just north of Jarbidge, Nevada.
Gotcha.
And the natural barriers that they used they didn't have to put fences up because they were canyon walls. Right, so the horses couldn't get out. They only had to have a fence in one area. And her biggest deal was to the British, and this was just as places to graze horses and raise giant herds were diminishing all over the place, they were still okay here in Idaho. And just as that was happening, motor vehicles started to appear. And so now it's the only time possible to have a gigantic horse trade. Yeah. And her dad was actually the one who liked raising the horses, who liked dealing with the horses. But she was just better at business, and she saw people take advantage of her dad. And there's some islands on the Snake River still called Wilkins Islands, named after the Wilkins family. Anyway, so wild horses are a thing. I read a book of a guy who talked about there's nothing like a good fence broke horse. When you break a horse to ride them, it means you break their spirit. You break their will to try to give them independence. And when they had to fence break these horses, they had to build a fence in a big V and force them into it. And he says, once those horses go through that ordeal, they're nice to every other fence they come across.
Wow.
Because they built those fences strong. And those horses were very desperate to get away. So, anyways, a good fence broke horse is what he called them when they'd round them up and sell them to the army or do whatever. Anyways, some fascinating stories out west.
You know, have you ever seen wild horses?
Yes, in the Hawaiis.
Yeah, I would love to go out there and do that. I have not seen them in the Hawaiis.
Only one time south of Nampa when I lived in Nampa. Yeah,
I was coming out of the Grand Canyon one year.
Oh yeah,
and got stuck in some horse traffic.
Really?
A very narrow canyon road that I was coming on, and there was a bunch of horses.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, because there was a ranch nearby,
sure,
my brain just goes, these got to be related to that ranch. But I think rolling back and watching that video I collected, and the more I think about it, they're not very well kept. They're kind of, but they're not like opposed to my vehicle. That's why I was thinking, oh, they're not, but they were. I'm pretty sure they're just wild horses.
Yeah. Look at their tracks and see if there's any of them are shoed.
Yeah. I'll have to find that video and see if I can.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
But yeah,
the wild horses are interesting. But to bring this all the way back to the Elk Season Podcast,
yes,
as wolves expand from Idaho to Wyoming or into Washington and Oregon and California,
yes,
which confirmed they are, when they get into Nevada, is horse?
I don't know.
A prey for them. Will wolves help manage the wild horse population in Nevada?
I don't know.
Okay. That question's been asked. Let's
monitor for that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So
we're actually rounding home pretty quick here. At,
I have a lot more energy today.
Yeah, no, this is good. But there's still a couple things to talk about.
And this is a taller beer than I got last week.
You're welcome. The couple things, it really brings us to what the podcast is for.
Yeah.
All things related to elk and a lot of, predator management. It's all important, the mountain. So that's how today's podcast has gone. It's all about predator management, wolf class, mountain lions. But last year's elk hunting season here in Idaho, and this is all for all elk, whether it's rifle or bow.
Yeah.
had like a 11% drop in success rates.
Wow.
Compared to Wyoming, our neighbor,
Yeah.
made a state record in harvest for elk last year.
Wow.
Now, I didn't get a lot of details out of the article, and I don't know if you came across this too and read it, but an interesting contrast for neighboring states to have such a difference in how many animals were harvested.
Yeah.
So I guess last year's winter was a little bit rough. It wasn't like hard, but it was, I don't know if that had something to do with it. It was longer
Well,
lasting.
it was in eastern Idaho, and then I would presume Wyoming,
Yeah.
right? Because that's why there's a shed season
Yeah.
in eastern Idaho, is
yeah.
because of the harsh winter that
Yeah.
did bad for the mule deer. So if it was a harsh winter, then maybe that pushed them down and got a few more people to successful harvesting in Wyoming.
Yeah, maybe.
And there's so many differences. There's so many things to think about. Is it easier to get a tag in Wyoming? How many hunters like to hunt Wyoming? Was there some viral TikTok that went crazy and said, this year, Wyoming's the place? And they just had so many hunters. So was there a percentage of success or just total number harvested?
And being the least populated state with the most borders on 2 major national parks that can be, safe havens. And if the harsh winter is there, I think that pushes them down out into the valleys.
Indeed.
So I think there's a lot of factors that could play into it. Not so much on the Idaho side, I would think, because Wyoming gets to where it's more flat and stretched out. So I don't know. I'm just speculating on geography.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Wyoming,
I would imagine that if they push down, they don't know where the borders are. They would equally go into Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. But it's such a small portion of Idaho's elk numbers.
Right.
The real Idaho elk numbers are central Idaho and up north. So
and we had some great success. I'm excited to get back up there. All the things you would do differently from the spike that I missed a couple years ago. I should not have put my little rangefinder down. Had I used the rangefinder on that thing, it'd be a different story.
Yeah,
I'm convinced of that because whenever I practice, I'm using that thing.
Yeah,
and
I do commit to getting a bino harness and a rangefinder this year.
Okay.
I know. Have I said that before?
You said that, and I was going to bring. Look, I didn't want to bring this up.
Okay, I won't say anything until I just buy it.
I don't want to upset you.
Okay.
But you said something about everything. Okay.
Yeah. I'm recording, but it says battery low.
Oh,
what do you know?
But you're like, I'm going to get a gun and all this cool stuff. I'm going to drop a bunch of money on it, and I'm like, you still don't have binocular harness or a rangefinder. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to squash your dreams with the gun.
With a gun like that, I'm going to need a rangefinder. I'm going to need to know exactly what I'm doing. And in all honesty, I know I should know. I should be looking at distances more when I'm hiking, when I'm bow hunting, to just understand, to just build a data set, to understand how far I might be shooting. Had I had a rangefinder a couple years ago when I did shoot my elk later, I would have got one with the first shot. I don't know. I might have, but I would have known the right distance instead of just guessing.
Yeah, and that was when we were out there that opening weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he has such good video from that time.
Oh man,
and it's crazy to think that the elk were that much farther down the canyon.
Yeah.
It's weird stuff. Anyway, but the season this year, it'll be interesting to see what the numbers look like. Still can't get it out of my mind. We had him at 40 yards. He snuck in on us, and then he snuck out.
Dream scenario. Oh. We'll get it again. Yeah. It's all right. We'll get it again. This time, it's personal. No, this time we'll have it on camera.
Yeah. Well, that's right. The challenge is to get some video content.
Right. I saw a police grade body cam for $44 on Craigslist.
Wow.
Just put it right there on your bino harness. Record.
The thing is, though, it's not just elk hunting. Different stuff that we do in excursions related to our outdoor adventures.
Yeah.
To put little videos together. Yeah. So if we were to place trail cameras, to have clips of that.
Yeah.
Or to this or that. Anyway. So the other thing is the water situation this year, which...
It snowed this morning.
It did.
It was snowing this morning. We've already had a day at 70 degrees this year. It's almost... Is it almost April? It is.
April 1st is on Monday, and that's no joke.
Oh, that's good. So April 1st is coming up. So I've called ever since I worked in the greenhouses in the farming industry. I have an intimate relationship with the seasons. Right, you really have to pay a little bit more attention to what's going on. So I have called since then. I have called March and April hurricane season.
Okay,
because there are so many times we have to go out and do repairs on the greenhouse and do things that that will mitigate damage by the wind. And it is March and April overwhelmingly where these storms roll through. And we've had some good wind, some good rain. There was that weird little hail pellet snow all over the place today. Rain and sunshine, all that stuff.
It's we're moving along. The current water situation isn't horrible. There's some places that have well over 100%. Our area only has between 90 and 100%, so it's not where it needs to be. And then the farther north you go, the lower it gets. So that's an interesting thing to see in the current water table in Idaho, where it's a few years ago it was like very even across the board with everything getting drenched, but now it's mostly southern Idaho. As you get north, it becomes more dry.
Really?
And so you like for like Twin Falls, we're at 127% in our Salmon Falls Reservoir.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
really.
This is as of March 25th data, by the way.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
But if you go up to the Clearwater, which is that just right below the northern Panhandle, is 70% on its water table.
Wow. Okay.
And 70%, and
that's part of Idaho that is east of Washington, not east of Oregon.
Right.
So that's a little bit further north, but still.
If you go to Boise, it's the Payette. Boise is 97%. Payette, right north of that, is 85%. Okay. So.
And my point is, we still have storms rolling through.
Yes.
We still have some storms to go, but April is going to be the end of it. We did sort of expect with El Nino. We talked about El Nino.
Yes.
Was higher than average precipitation and higher than average temperatures. So more precipitation. So actually, I thought we would see more precipitation in the mountains. Some of that may have melted, and so that's why Salmon Falls is at 127 because it's been so warm. And so maybe that's the deal. We have got enough moisture, but it kind of needs to lock in the mountains for as long as it can. Hold on. You know, when we set those trail cameras up in June and had to hike through knee-deep snow.
Yeah. So
it needs to hang on like that.
Data for this was provided by the Idaho Snow Survey conducted by the National Resource Conservation Service of the United States Department of Agriculture. I was just trying to see if this information, because it says snow survey. So are they talking about the snowpack? Because that's what I think this is. This isn't, I said reservoir, that was a misnomer.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay.
I think they're talking about snowpack. So what the reservoirs will look like is to be determined. That would make sense here.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but that's soon going to start melting pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and
there's still storms to come. They're not as big. You know, we may have some big storms. It stormed today. It's going to storm again on Sunday. So we're gonna have a couple nice days of sunshine. It's going to storm again on Sunday, and there's more storms rolling through next week. But summer's coming. Summer's creeping up.
It'll be here before you know it. Hunting season, that is.
Yeah, it will. How many days?
154 days.
Wow. Okay. Let's go.
Let's get it done. What journeys will we arrive at by next week? We'll see.
Who knows what crazy stories we'll have. But hang in there. We'll have some stories for sure.
Cheers. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.